Hey, what's up guys? My name's Andy. I am just coming to you to show you a bit more demonstrations on how to do a bit more image editing. This image has been retrieved from a Facebook group that I am in for photography page, free to join. By all means, search yourself. Let's see if I can actually physically get you the name of the group. The group is called Free Digital Photo Restoration and Restoring. Okay, anyways, let me just go back onto here. Now you can see the actual image here. So I'm going to show you several different ways we can manipulate this image in order to get some of their facial tone back. As you can see, it's really dark, and they would obviously ideally like the image so they can make out the child's face as much as possible. We've got several different options, from recoloring to obviously just playing with the colors and see what we can actually physically achieve. So let's have a look at some filters, shall we? Okay, first filter I'm going to go down and have a look at. I'm going to go add, and I'm going to go filter mask right here. All of these filters can be achieved using every piece of software out there. Believe me, not guys. Believe it or not, guys. All you need to do is just find out the common wording for any piece of software that you use. So if you use Photoshop and you're not quite sure, if you just search on masks, and you're going to find exactly what we're playing with here. So first off we want to do is try and make it so we can actually physically see the face. We've got several options to physically do that. We can either do a HSV or a HSL adjustment. Now what that's going to allow us to do is to inject colour and take colour away. I also play with brightness and that kind of stuff in order to make it a little bit brighter or a little bit darker. She's going to change the entire tone of the colour for the entire image. So if it's very red or something like that, you can usually adjust it out using here by adjusting it slightly within range, left and right a tiny bit. You don't want to go too much in a particular direction, because it can begin to really screw things up. So it's sometimes it's just a question of playing with that a little bit. The other option is to go for a full recolor or force more color into it. If it's faded, you can come right with the saturation. If it's overcolored, you can come left with the saturation and bleach it out a little bit. If it's obviously over bright, you can inject more brightness into it, but as you can see, that can look quite ugly. You can take brightness away, but in this case, we certainly don't want to do that. Okay, so that's adjusting things for the whole image. But what if we wanted to make the darker bits a bit lighter but not affect everything else? What can we do there? Next thing we'd look for then is something called a levels adjuster. The level adjuster is going to look at the different levels of light in your image, and then we can adjust how it plays with them with the light. So let's have a little adjustment here and see what we can do. If we adjust this to the left, it's now averaging out the image. Oh, and there's a face right there. Look at that. Okay, so there's one option we can go down, and then what we can do after that is we can run a coloring layer or something like that afterwards, just to really bounce that color. We could say okay to that one. Okay, so that's an option one right there. All right, so that's a levels adjustment. So let's turn the levels adjustment off. Well, okay, well, can't find the levels adjustment. What else can we do? Okay, so let's go back in. Let's go for another filter mask. Okay, we've got color adjustment. Ooh, what's color adjustment going to do for us? Well, sometimes the colours themselves are a little bit too heavy or a little bit too weak. In this case, the colours are not too bad. Um, there is obviously an over injection of colour just because it's in shade, but we can begin to play with that by grabbing this image here. And if we drive it up so we get to a good level of face, so which is going to be around about there, but now the shadows and everything and the top's a bit lost, so we want to pull um, the high end of the spectrum down a little bit. So let's get this brightness and pull it down a bit more. So this is the overall brightness of the image is what I'm playing with this far right, and as you can see from the brightness indicator over here. So if I want to pull that brightness down, see, now that's pulling the lightest areas of the image down. Now this is a plane effect. This is not necessarily one-way suits all. It's going to be slightly different with different images. As you can see, as we change the light levels, we lose some details and gain others. So you can see exactly where the trees are if we do this. Okay, and then obviously you can see where all the what chrome. This is called chroma keying right here. Okay, and this happens when like a flash or something goes off. It's going to destroy your image. You can use a chroma key to get rid of that, or you can use a flash flood fill, which will inject the whites with the adjacent colours, which will get rid of some of that for you if you ever have that effect. But that's an entirely different effect. So let's just get to a point here where we're getting a good average amount of colour everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to say that's about okay for me. I'm going to get rid of it and I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to show you the two different effects. So here's our levels effect. Okay, and there's our colour play effect. Both on together, you're not going to see anything. So there's that one, and there's that one. Slightly different options, but again, depending on your image, this is going to depend on which one of those two tools is more useful. Okay, I'm going to go again. Add filter mask. This is probably going to be the last one, guys, for this. And then there's another little trick we can show you. I might do that in a separate video. I might do it in the same. Let's just get through this bit. Okay, last thing we're going to look at is something called burn. Burn is going to look at the colors again, but it's going to allow us to only adjust one focus. So we can add 3 of these focuses if we want and do 3 separate adjustments. One on the shadows, one on the midtone, and one on the highlight. What it's going to allow us to do is adjust those within the image. So we know on this image, it's the shadows that are going to affect us quite badly. So we can go here, we can expose them more. But what if we expose them less? Oh, okay, so now we're seeing a bit of face. Now, as you can see, this isn't necessarily the best option on this image, but it doesn't mean it's not an option to you. Could be better on one image, yet worse on another. But it's just another technique that you need to be aware of. Okay, so once you've actually physically picked an effect that we want that suits the image a little better, there's always a few extra things that we can do in order to boost color or boost tone. Okay, so if I was to actually physically get rid of them and I was to bring up my original attempt at this is what I did. Okay, so I'm going to add the filter mask to it, which makes it nice black and white right there. I'm going to duplicate it twice. So we go once, we go twice. So I haven't done anything different from that other image. It's exactly the same image. I'm going to move these two above. Take one, I'm going to turn it into a multiply. Okay, take the other one, and I'm going to convert this one into a burn. Alright, so don't worry, it's going to go real dark right now. That's fine. We don't mind that, okay? Next thing I'm going to do is drop these down to about 7%, okay? So, there, okay? And then, put one below it, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to go back to our original image here, and I'm going to turn the black and white off. Okay, so now it's back into color. So what are these actually physically doing? These are softening the tone of the actual image itself as a whole, right? So if I go back here and I start to adjust this, what I want to see is that definition coming back into the image. Okay, so let me take it off again. See the definition that's re-adding to the image, gives you that nice soft tone, and so does this one. Okay, if I take this one away, it doesn't do much on their own, but combined they do a great job of building tone or whatnot into the image. Sorry about the train, hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay, so with those two on, we've got a nice balanced effect. Now it's a question of you just playing with those until you get the right sort of setting that you want. So there is another way of retouching colour. The final way is to do a complete retouch. Now a retouch is not a bad thing. It's really not. You can obviously just go ahead and build on separate layers or whatnot. But what I will turn on and say is before you even think about doing that, what you should do is average out the area of colour before you actually physically want to do it. So what you tend to do is you tend to grab a second copy of the image if you've got, this is if you've got it in colour by the way. If you haven't got it in colour, this is not going to count for you. But if you've got the image already in colour but the colour is bad for one reason or another, or maybe it's got good colour here and bad colour here, you want to average out your colour. I'll demonstrate why, because if I pick up this pipette tool right here, and I want you to notice this colour wheel on the left, if I start picking colours across the face, look how many different colours there are. There are a lot of different colours that make up the face. Okay, see how radically that changes? Okay, so what I need to figure out, well, what's the average colour of a face? Well, there's no way of knowing that unless I actually average the color out. How do you do that? So what we're going to do is we're going to take a blurring tool. It doesn't matter which one you use and which software you use, and you're going to find the average color of the face by looking at the face, and you're going to say, okay, this is what the tone of most of their face is in this, sorry, his or her face is here. We'll look down here. Ooh, nice exposed leg right here, which is showing a lot of the average tone for this baby's face. So what I want to do is I want to come down to where his leg is right here, and I'm just going to make sure I'm on the right layer. I'm just going to average out the color by applying this to it. Okay. So all I'm doing is applying a blur effect. So now I've got this blade patch right here. Now there's the image, so we haven't damaged it. This is a separate copy. Okay. Um, if I now select my pipette and I select anywhere in here, you're going to see that color variation is a lot smaller now. So now we've got the average skin tone color. Okay. Now, if you really wanted to, what you could do is you could take the lighter skin tone, the darker skin tone, the red skin tone, and then begin to replace those back on at a later stage. But once we've actually physically got that, what we want to do then is actually get rid of that one, bring back our original image, turn it on our black and white. Now, obviously, you know, retouch color is never going to be as good as normal color, but we try our best, don't we? So here we go. We're going to switch back to a brush. That's what we've got here. This is going to be extremely crude, guys. I apologise to this poor child owner or the owner of this photograph. So I'm going to quickly just colour this in right now to demonstrate something. Sweet. And as I say, you'll do a much better job than this, and this is really, really so crude. It's unbelievable. All right, cool, awesome. So, you know, obviously you're going to go through and you do the feet, sorry, the hands, you're going to do the feet and legs and whatnot. Let me just, in fact, I'm just going to whack up my size for the brush just to get this done a little bit faster. It is really so crude, it's going to be hanging over and all kinds. But here we go. Awesome, sweet. Alright, so I've got this point right here. Yeah, there we go. Right, so once you're at that point, if you do the trick that we showed you earlier with these burn and effect points, you see now the fact that it adds that extra tonal layer to that colouring that you've added. So if you take it with it out, look how flat that colour looks. But however, with this burn and tone colour, it then begins to add definition to that colour. Okay, obviously, and then adjusting that colour down or up will eventually get that tone back in. Once you've got that tone set in and you can find the average color, so you want to match it to this one as much as possible. So keep adjusting your brightness, So it's about there by average, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm matching that color brightness here to this color brightness on the leg where we took it from, and to make sure it's as close as possible. If I turn off this layer here, you should see now that it's balanced the color across the face and made it a lot brighter. Okay, so you rinse and repeat that pattern for any colors that are off throughout the image, including cleaning up the shoes if that's what you want. Remove this with your normal clone tools or whatnot. That will become pretty much a nice and complete image with almost zero effort, really. If that helps you guys, let me know. If not, if you've got many more questions, let me know. That's 3 or 4 demonstrations here about to like take color and then inject it, looking for average colors. The amount of things in there, guys, should keep you busy for a little while. If you need any more advice, drop questions in below the video. I will try and answer them or make a video just to demonstrate them. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again soon.